Welcome, one and all, on this bright, sunny Wednesday in DC. I hope it's nice wherever you are. You will see below is not Norm Eisen. It is the wonderful Jeremy Ben-Ami who is joining us. Norm will be back, we think, on Thursday. This is the time of year where there are many Jewish holidays, plus Norm is traveling, so he has been intermittent. Hello, Utah. Hello, Boulder, Colorado, and New Mexico. Berkeley, California. I spent 7 years of my life in Berkeley, undergraduate, law school. Love Berkeley. Go back now and then, and it is still Berkeley. Philadelphia. Born in Philadelphia, and there's my Morristown, New Jersey friend. Spent my first few years in Morristown, New Jersey. So it is a biography of Jen's geographic travels. Scotland, we have. Welcome, welcome. We love our international friends. I saw a Canadian flag as well. Ecuador. Oh my goodness. Welcome. Welcome. Minneapolis, Fort Collins. Wow. Love it. Lots of Californians in the house. That's wonderful. We're seeing a lot of Portland folks these days. I guess there's something going on there. I want the Portland frog. Can he join or she join? And we've got the frog, we've got a raccoon, a unicorn. I think there's a zebra out there someplace. So it's all very exciting. We have a menagerie of pro-democracy advocates. We have Tucson, wonderful. Naples, Italy. My goodness, we have a very international crowd today. We are delighted to have you. Someone mentioned the dinosaurs. Yes, the dinosaurs.
They're not referring to us.
No, thank you. Yes, the dinosaur costumes, I believe we are referring to. So, yes. And Paris, France. My goodness, we have a very international group today. Well, we are delighted to have you. And these are all places where we might have to go if the authoritarian wave continues to drench us. So hopefully you all have extra spare bedrooms for us because we may have to come. Wisconsin, welcome. Lots of Wisconsin people. Fabulous. And Texas, well, we are well past the 1,000 mark. We do have Jeremy Ben-Ami, our friend from J Street. Welcome, Jeremy. Great to see you.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm particularly impressed with the Milwaukee people are able to get out of bed this morning. I mean, they have just been shut down by LA pitching these first two games. And so my heart goes out to the Milwaukee crew.
Yes, I will try not to gloat as a Dodger.
Right.
I will control myself. Shutdown. We are past the 2-week mark. 22 million people, Jeremy, are going to see their Obamacare subsidies disappear by end of year, and their prices will go sky high. What do you think that does for the shutdown? And ultimately, do the Democrats simply need to hold tight until that recognition dawns on people?
I say hold tight. If you're going to fight, you got to fight, and you got to fight to the end. I mean, to cave now would make absolutely no sense. One of the things that's fascinating is to see the map of where the people live who are most hit by the subsidies. I mean, literally, you shade it darker where more people are hurt, and you shade it lighter where less people are hurt. And it is completely white up in the Northeast and New England and all the rest of the areas that are, solid blue. And down in the South and in the Rocky Mountain states, that is where people are going to get socked. And Florida is the darkest state of them all in terms of the percentage of people that are going to get hit by this. I mean, a very, very significant percentage of Floridians are going to see their healthcare costs go up.
And I think that still has not really hit people, in part because not everyone has received their notices, or they've received their notices. We don't know exactly what all the language is. It may be kind of conditional. People may be thinking, oh, well, this will get worked out. I'll wait until the end of the year. By November 1, people should really know. And I think that's when the rubber hits the road. It also seems that every time Russ Vought opens his mouth and every time they have another riff, which is illegal, this does not really help Republicans' cause. I wonder if at some point they recognize he is being a counterproductive force for them.
Well, I think one of the things we have to be really careful about is not to get too caught up in the Washington debate. because I don't think anybody knows who Russ Vogt is.
Yeah,
They don't know what a RIF is.
good point.
If there's 4,000 bureaucrats in an acronym agency that they've never heard of that have lost their jobs, they probably think, well, that's good. We're, shrinking the government. So I think we should just stay laser focused on the reason why the Democrats are doing this, and they should own it and say, we are going to continue to have a shutdown until people can afford their health care, period. And that's
Uh,
it.
I think you're exactly right. And I think the rest of it is kind of window dressing. Yes,
Right.
there's still a representative who has not been sworn in. Yes, they are keeping their people out of town because of the Epstein files. But healthcare, 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 I think has been a winning message for them. Let me move to another branch of our government, the courts. The Supreme Court, which I cannot stress enough, folks, is as much a threat to our democracy as Donald Trump. They are a rogue body. They are no longer adhering to their role as a interpreter and enforcer of the Constitution. They are hearing a case today in which they could literally rule unconstitutional Article 2 of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Make a long story short, this means there could be wholesale redistricting throughout the South to virtually eliminate African American representation. This would be going back to the pre-civil rights era. Jeremy, is the Supreme Court really going to do this, do you think?
Well, it's really important for your viewers to understand that this is the last section of the law that remains.
Yes.
The Supreme Court has actually struck down over the years every other provision of the Voting Rights Act. So, this is the last thin reed that is hanging. And I think it's very possible that this court is going to do that. And it is shocking. It's been 60 years. Everybody who is watching this has grown up in this country with voting rights protections, with an understanding of the civil rights movement and of how, proud we are that this country finally got its act together and reversed and worked on reversing some of the wrongs that have plagued this country since its founding, right? And we all studied this, and our kids studied it in high school and college, and we're proud of this. And just one by one by one, the right wing in this country, through executive action, legislative action, and judicial action, is just cutting away all the foundations of civil rights laws that we fought for and are proud of.
I think that's right. And this would be the bookend to Shelby County, which was the decision that, again, Chief Justice Roberts authored, which did away with Article 5. That was pre-clearance. And that opened up a wave of these repressive, restrictive state regulations. If you remember, we've been dealing with them ever since. And this really would allow the Southern state legislatures to draw lines that essentially eliminate Black representation. We are going back to before the civil rights era. I think the court needs to understand, people need to understand that at the root of this is not only whether we have a Voting Rights Act, but what we need to do about the Supreme Court. This must be an issue in 2026 and 2028. We have to have a wholesale reform of the Supreme Court. And frankly, I'm open to it all. I'm open to reducing their appellate jurisdiction, which Congress controls. I'm open to expanding the court. I'm open to term limits. I'm open, obviously, to some ethics requirements. I think Democrats have to do the same work, Jeremy, that Republicans have done in making the court a top issue. And perhaps that's coming to fruition now as they see what happens every time one of these cases involving Trump goes up to the Supreme Court.
Yep. And it's not just making the court the issue. We have to make the underlying issue that the court is hurting people on the issue. Because again, I worry about arguments that are, you and I might understand and value as lawyers and as, folks who went to law school. But I think the issue is, are people going to have equality in this country? Is everybody going to have their right to vote? Are their rights going to be protected, whether it's the right to vote or the right to marry or the right to their own personal health care decisions? These are the rights. And the court is the means, and we have to fight over the rights and the means we have to fix, but keep the issues front and center.
I think that is exactly right. Well, we have both talked and written quite a lot about Israel. As we both predicted, great joy in the return of the hostages. And now, of course, they settle down into continual bickering, stalling, argument about what comes next, because really none of those issues were dealt with. And Donald Trump, as he is wont to do, made an absolutely idiotic statement. He said, if Hamas does not disarm, and by the way, that was not really nailed down in this
No.
agreement either. He said, we will do it for them. What does that mean? Are we sending troops to Gaza? What does that even mean, Jeremy?
Right. Well, I mean, this is just typical Donald Trump, speaking out of his rear end and not having an idea what he's actually talking about when he says that kind of bluster. It's how he operates on every stage, right? It's with every country on every issue. Throws out, a thought 1 minute, reverses it the next minute, promises 100% tariffs on Thursday, rolls them back on Friday. Meanwhile, the stock market goes 5% either way. This man just roils the waters all the time. The hard work, there's really, really hard diplomatic work that needs to be done. We have to figure out what is the security force that is going to go into Gaza. If there isn't a security force, the mayhem that you're already seeing in the areas that the IDF has pulled out of is simply going to get worse. And once again, innocent civilians are the people who are going to be hurt. And you've got to have a security force. It's got to be stood up quickly. It's got to be backed by the Arab world. It's got to have Palestinians at the front. And none of that's been worked out. What's the governance mechanism, right? Who are the people that are actually going to govern? What is the process for decommissioning Hamas's arms, which is one of the 20 points, but nobody has any details on that. So this is the hard work of governance. This is the hard work of diplomacy. And if we know one thing, this is a president with no attention span and no real interest in the details. And he's going to move on and we'll leave behind, total chaos possibly.
And Bibi Netanyahu has every incentive in the world to do what he's doing, which is to come up with every excuse in the book why this can't go forward, why there cannot be a permanent peace, why there cannot be Arab self-government. He has every incentive to go back to bickering or, God forbid, even fighting. He has elections next year. He is going to play to his hard right-wing base. And the Israeli people are going to have to decide whether they've had enough and they really want to move on with their lives and achieve something that is resembling a lasting peace. Meanwhile, back at home, Jeremy, there was a revelation from Politico. And if you folks out there have not seen it, I would commend it to you. They essentially got a chat, the transcripts of over a very long period of dozens of, they call it young Republicans, but they're not so young. Some of them are 40 years old. Some of them have run campaigns. Some of them are staffers on the Hill. And it has the worst kind of misogynistic, violent, racist language. And you got it. J.D. Vance is simply saying, oh, stop the pearl clutching. Stop. This is just you guys being woke. I think this is telling, Jeremy, about what they have done to the soul of a once decent party and the monsters that they are literally creating. What was your reaction reading some of this language, which is vilely anti-Semitic, violently anti-women, anti-Black? It's really disgusting.
Yeah, it's really hard to overemphasize just how awful this is. This is what you expect to see when you open the door to the sewer and you look in and see the crap that's there, right? And
Yeah.
you just know that this is what a whole slew of folks think it used to be, that you just didn't say these things in polite company. You imagine that that's what's in their head or it's what they're saying in a dark room somewhere. But now people just type it into their phones and they don't expect I don't know who hasn't been watching the news for the last 10 years, but somehow they don't seem to expect that everything they're typing into their phones is eventually going to see the light of day. And so it's not only that it is the worst, the most vile, racist stuff that's in there, it's the stupidity of people who are in the leadership roles of young Republican and of the Republican Party to put these things. It's the same thing that leads you to put your war plans in a Signal chat with a reporter, right? I mean, it's understanding that in 2025, this is the world we operate in. So it is absolutely despicable. It's not surprising, but it's just so stupid. And then, of course, nobody on the Republican side is going to condemn this. Nobody's going to take it on. It is just horrible, horrifying.
And what this conveys is that this is what is expected. This is the language that they have grown up with, that they think this is appropriate. That comes from the party as a whole. They have created a monstrous
And
party.
Trump. I mean, it comes from Trump. You can get away with saying the worst things personally, right? And you'll get to be president of the United States. So there's no limits.
Absolutely. Now, some of them have tried this ridiculous play to say, well, there's a Democrat running for attorney general in Virginia, and he said some bad things about which he's apologized for, about using violence against an opponent. There is a world of difference between discreet comments that someone has apologized for and months of dialogue, and that clearly portrays their inner thoughts. No one thinks that this attorney general candidate was ever going to use violence against anybody. He said something stupid. He communicated something stupid. But this is what they do, Jeremy. They take, peanuts and elephants and try to tell us those are the same.
Right. It really is about the culture, because this was a group dynamic, right? This was one person saying something, then the next person feeling they needed to go deeper into the sewer, and then the next person needing to laugh and take it worse. And so it's about the culture and the group. We're going to have people on the Democratic side of the aisle and in our movements and in our organizations who say and do stupid things, and we should call them out and say, we don't talk like that. We don't call for the use of violence. We don't call people names. I mean, that's all, fine. We should police ourselves and make sure people hold to higher moral standards. But this is something completely different. It is about the culture and the group dynamic within the party that has been created by Donald Trump and his enablers.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of a group dynamic, we have a fascist dynamic at work with ICE, which is becoming increasingly brutal, violent, indiscriminate, attacking, frankly, children because they're masked and unidentified, tackling people to the ground who have no idea that this is someone representing law enforcement. This is reminiscent of what we see in fascist societies with street thugs, with paramilitary groups that are unleashed on the population, and really an attempt, if not to provoke violence, at least to blur the difference. And so we have come to accept violence from law enforcement. What is your reaction as you're watching some of this footage and hearing these reports?
Yeah, I think that this is something we really need to lean into. I think, there is a legitimate concern in the heart of the country about crime, about illegal immigration. These are legitimate concerns. But I don't think that the center of the country is all in favor of this kind of masked, armed presence, engaging in the kind of tactics that we are seeing, the militarization of our cities and the use of the armed forces on our own soil. These are issues that I think can be made into a much bigger deal, while still taking seriously the need to take on crime and to take on illegal immigration. I mean, the Democrats can do both things at the same time, and I think we can use the video. These are pictures, and pictures are key, and the pictures are so disturbing, and I think we should be making real use of that in our communications and making sure they get out there.
Absolutely. And listen, folks, authoritarians always suggest that we need a bargain. Give up your rights and we'll give you security. And you wind up with neither. You wind up with brutality, lawlessness, and your rights are lost. I just want to point out before we go to my favorite part of the show, which is what we're looking forward to, two very positive, actually three positive developments. One, every news organization other than OAN, which isn't a real news organization, has rejected the ridiculous demands of the Pentagon to essentially only report what is given to them. In other words, to act as stenographers, as propagandists. They have said no. So perhaps there is some sense among legacy media that it's not such a good idea to capitulate to Donald Trump. Secondly, MIT, any MIT alum out there? Your school rejected this compact, which is in essence a bribe that the administration has put up. If you pretend to go along with, or you in fact do go along with all of our restrictions and requirements and oversights, we'll give you preference on grants and other things. MIT said shove it. 8 other schools now are on the spot. And because they've been humiliated, they're now going out to all universities and colleges. Jeremy, if they're all special friends of the administration, I don't understand what the advantage is, because the get in this was to be treated better than everybody else. Everyone is being treated better than everyone else. I think we have a Lake Wobegon problem. Lastly, we have a fascinating development: airports. Let's give it up to airports. They are refusing to play that obnoxious Kristi Noem video, which is a propaganda attack on Democrats. We make a lot of complaints about airports. They're crowded, planes are delayed, the food is too expensive, but they're sticking tough. So here for our airport. We have reached our favorite part of the program. What are you looking forward to, Jeremy?
Well, I'll take the opportunity to mention the No Kings rallies on Saturday. I am really looking forward to this. I'm hoping we tip over that 3% of the country on the streets protesting. That apparently is the magic number, which means we're going to be able to overturn this nightmare. J Street is very proudly pulling together our folks. If people want to march with us, we've got meeting locations all over the country and on our website. But every organization on every issue needs to come together, whether we agree on one thing or another. We have to stand up for our democracy and the rule of law, and this is the time to do it.
Wonderful. Good to hear that our friends at J Street are as committed to American democracy
Absolutely.
as they are to international and peace in the Middle East. I think what I am looking forward to is, first of all, the variety of reasons why people are turning out. And on Friday, actually tomorrow, Thursday, I'm going to have a piece and it's going to list all the reasons that people have for turning out. It's very long. The list is very long. And there is not a soul in America who is not affected by one or more of these. And these are issues that compel everyone to turn out. I am looking forward to, shameless plug, you got it, the Contrarians coverage beginning at 7:30 Eastern time. Norm and I are going to host it. We're going to have our coverage coming from really live reporters in both Florida and in Portland. I'm going to be out on the streets in DC. So if you see me, come say hi. I will be with camera and we will be chatting with folks. So please do come up and say hello. And we will also have a slew of special guests, both to comment on the history of this. Probably one of your favorite historians will be on there, as well as one of the leaders of Indivisible will be on to comment on the day. So it's going to be great. Make sure you go and then come home and watch it on the Contrarians Substack. Jeremy, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure. It's like sitting down with an old friend, which you are, and it is like sitting down with an old friend. So thank you for coming, folks. Remember, J Street is a wonderful organization, and if you have not found a place in the Jewish community in the Middle East kind of equation that speaks to you, I think you should check out J Street. So thank you, Jeremy. Great seeing you. Contrarians, thank you all. We will be back tomorrow. And I think we'll get Norm back tomorrow. We'll see. Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
See you soon. Bye.